Well, hello there, and welcome to another Drake Council on Aging tutorial. I am Joan Turner, the resident artist at the Drake Council on Aging, and today we are doing this picture, but we are doing it on this ornament. Okay, so if you picked up an art kit at the Drake Council on Aging, you will have one of these. If you do not have one of those, you can paint it on any ornament that you have, or you can paint it on a canvas or a piece of wood. You can paint it on anything your heart desires because you are the creator, in case you didn't already know that, which you should by now. Okay, so what we need is this picture so that we have something to go by. And if you picked up a DCOA kit, then you do have one. If you don't, it's on the online newsletter or in the physical newsletter. Okay, so you can get a hold of it. You will need a palette. Okay, I am using paper plates. You may use whatever you like. Some paper plates are plastic coated, and that works out well as well. You always need brushes, of course, small, medium, and large brushes. So we have those. And if I look at the colors in here, I know that I need blue. Blue, blue, blue. Okay. The camera shows me black ones, so cut me a little slack. I know it looks like I'm doing it backwards. Okay. You will also need some brown. You will need some white. You will need some green, and actually you'll need some black too. Hold that thought while I go get some black. Ta-da! Ta-da! Black. Okay. The kind of paint that we're using is acrylic paint. Once it dries, it is permanent. Okay, so make sure you cover tables and floors, anything that you don't want to get paint on. Clothes, you should have art clothes on. If you get acrylic paint on you and you kind of notice it right away, as long as it's wet, you can kind of soap and water get it off because it is a water-based paint. However, once it dries, it's with you for the rest of your life. Okay, so along with all that good stuff, you will need something to hang your ornament on with by. Okay, so you just put it right through there and hang it that way. Don't do it yet. Do it after we paint on it. All right, so you can use this. You could use a blue ribbon. You could use a regular ornament hanger. Anything is okay. All right, so before we start, let's just pull this out. Pull it out of there. Okay, so and place it aside. Don't lose it, kitties. Okay, so I'm going to put it right over there and not lose it, right? So now I have this without its little connecting piece on it. I have my palette, I have my brushes, I have my paint. You will need water bowls, okay? Don't put them in glasses or things that look like you can drink out of them because then you'll be in deep yogurt. Um, oh, paper towels. You always need lots of paper towels, certainly. And I actually have with me some cotton swabs. Okay, cotton swabs, I just kind of keep them around. If you make a little mistake, you can just kind of pick it up really fast. And these ornaments, if you have the ones from the DCOA packs, they're actually plastic. Okay, you can do them on glass. Like I said, you can actually do them on anything you want. Plastic is kind of like, if you drop it, it's probably not going to break unless you really, really zunk it somewhere. All right. Last but never least, and this is extremely, extremely important, hot cocoa. You have to have hot cocoa to do a really good job. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let us have some hot. This is very hot cocoa. I just made it. Let me try it. It's very hot cocoa. All right, so I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode only because my phone rings constantly. I'm sure yours does too. All right, so let us see. Let's see here. We'll go into settings. For those of you who don't know how to do it, this is an Android phone, but I have a feeling that even the iPhones are the same. You just go into settings, and where it says connections, click, choose connections. Where it says airplane mode, just kind of tap on it. Airplane mode means that it won't ring or do anything really noisy and stuff. Well, it's on. Just don't forget to turn it off when you're done. Okay, so let us take a look at this thing. And the first thing I'm going to do is get the camera in a position where you can see what I'm doing. And let's find a seat. Here you can see my art room. Actually, if you look on this wall, lots of paintings and brushes and paints, all kinds of things. And if you look on the other wall, all kinds of paintings and things. And people, I actually did some Halloween tutorials, and people are always remarking about my trash can. Now, I don't know if you can see the microwave, but my trash can is voice activated. Open can. Did you see? Did you see it open? Close can. Okay. So it's very used to my voice, and the reason for having it at all is because sometimes you have your hands full and they're all full of paint and blah 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 and this that. So we just tell it open can, close can, and it does that. But while I was doing some of the Halloween tutorials, it's very used to my voice. So sometimes I would say something and it will open up, even though I didn't tell it to open. Okay. So one of the people who edits the tutorials, I really, really like that haunted trash can, Joni. It's really not haunted. It's voice activated. Okay, so if you happen to see it opening and closing, it's not haunted. At least I don't think so. All right, so let's get you down at the table here. And I think you can see. You can see. Oh, I'm going to say, find something to I'm going to use this little shot glass from the dollar store, but you could use like a Dixie cup or a little, I think these are salad dressing cups. Actually, anything. And the only reason I say have one nearby is because after we paint it, we can kind of sit it on there and let it dry a little bit. Okay, so something that you can rest it on would be really, really cool. And I think what we will is do this background first. Like with most acrylic works, oils and acrylics actually always start from the background first. If you're working with different mediums such as watercolors and so on and so forth, that's not the case. But with acrylics, and that's what we're using, acrylics and oil paints, we always work from the back forward. Okay, so I'm going to put my little guy here. I am going to make this background. Now, if I look at this background, it's kind of a dark blue over here, and it kind of gets lighter. And there's also some light like behind these trees. Now, if you're wondering why the light is kind of behind the trees and flashing forward, it's because the moon is behind them, behind the trees. So there's backlighting from the moon. Okay, so we're going to make this a nice darkish color into here, and then we're going to lighten up around here before we put our trees on. Ready? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. And it's good to have it nearby so that you can kind of take a glance at it and see what's going on. Plus, you know, video wizard, probably am not. So it's good to have a reference. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is mix our background color, which is blue and white and some brown. Right? Now this is a pretty small ornament, but better to mix a little extra than you think you need, only because we are mixing it, and if you end up needing more, you have to try and remember what the ratio is, certainly, but might as well just mix enough. All right, so I'm going to put some brown on my palette, some blue, and some white. Now, when it comes to the blues and the browns, you can use whatever was in your art kit. If you're using one that you have at home, because a lot of artists don't necessarily need the art kits, they're using their own paints and supplies, and that's fine too. Okay, so any blues, any browns, all right. So whatever you have is absolutely fine. I'm going to take my bigger brush, and my goal here, actually, I'm just going to paint a kind of a solid circle here. Right now, I will show you what I mean, because we're just going to paint one side of it. So whenever you're mixing colors, I always start with the lighter color first. In this case, it's the white. All right, then I'm going to take some of the blue and add it into there. That's a pretty blue. Okay. So that's kind of cool. I want it to be on the darker side, like this. So there's a number of ways to do that. You could add some brown, which will give us kind of a dusty blue. If you mix brown with any color, you dust it, so you get a dusty blue. Or if you mix black with it, you kind of gray it, right? So let me see if that's dark enough. I'm going to just kind of test it right there. That's pretty ding dang close. Maybe let's try just a dash of the black. For up in this corner, it's like really dark. Okay, so I'm going to try just a teensy bit of the black. Okay. Just put a little dash of black. Remember that we're working with a pretty small ornament here. Okay, so I'm going to take some of the blue that I mixed, and then I'm going to just add a little bit of black to it. Okay, and not much more than that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my ornament and decide which way is the front of it. Okay, now if these ornaments have a little seam along the side of them, so I would say don't paint over the seam, okay, paint on the flat side. Right now, just take your brush, make a circle, okay? And we're going to make a solid circle here. Okay, so I'm just going to go like this. So I'm going right around like this. Okay, so can you see that? Okay, and I'm going to fill it in. And I'm going to just straighten this out a little bit. And I know that you cannot see it, but a piece of my hair, it's a funny looking hair because it's like my hair is blonde, but because of the paint, it's now a black color or a blue color. So take it out of there. So you don't want your hair in there. You don't want bristles from your brush in there. So just nice and nice, and look for more hairs as we go on. I must be shedding. All right, so I pretty much have, okay, actually I think I'll go right around the seam here. Okay, like I said, if you have a an ornament from your DCOA package, if it comes on Asian package. There is a seam that goes right around here. So I'm painting that seam. Okay, so I'm going to rest it here for a second, and I'm going to just clean any excess paint off my brush. Now I'm not putting it in the water because I still actually am going to use blue. So I don't need to get, you don't need to have it totally clean, but I want to keep the blue dark up at the top. Now when you're holding this, hold it here and here, okay, so that you're not holding the wet paint. Okay, I'm going to take some of the first blue that I mixed, which is right here. I'm going to come around this bottom a little bit. Right, now I'm going to dip into my white paint, and I'm going to put the white paint in the middle here. Okay, see how it's getting whiter there? So let's get a little bit of white paint in there. Now I'm going to say, let this rest. Okay, put it in your little holder like this, and just wait about 5 minutes. Okay, wait 5 minutes, and through the magic of tea, you shall return almost instantaneously. So now, if you waited a few minutes and let this dry a little bit, we're going to dip into our white paint, and we're going to paint just the bottom section of this white. Okay, now there's already a lot of blue on here, so your white is going to look like bluish white, which is exactly the way we want it to look. Okay, and again, you know, you might want to let that sit for a few minutes, especially if you've put the paint on there thick. Okay, so I have it kind of thick on here because I want it to look like snow mounds. All right, so you could sit here, you could actually blow on it a little bit. Okay, and just let it dry a little bit. But actually, while it's drying, let's go ahead and put our moon in. All right, now our moon, we're gonna do it white certainly, and then we'll dab it with some blue. So take a small detail brush. Now, if you don't have a detail brush, and you haven't seen me do it in other tutorials, what I do is I just take an old brush that I don't care too much about, and I actually just cut the bristles off of it until there's just like a teensy bit of bristle left. Okay, and I can get a very small detail. Okay, so you can make your own detail brushes. Okay, so I am going to take this little die and just I'm going to dip in my white paint. And my thought is just to make a dot on here where I want that moon to go. Right now, I know I'm going to have a big tree over here, another tree over here, another one over here. So I'm thinking moon right about there. Okay, so decide where your moon is going to be. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a circle there so that I can kind of see where my moon. And you're going to think about how big do you want your moon to be. Now it's pretty big in the handout, and maybe I'm going to switch to a bigger brush, okay? Because I actually like oversized moons, so I'm going to have blue on my finger. Okay, so make sure your hand is in its comfort zone, and I'm going to make a circle, a white circle. Now, if you don't believe that you can make a white circle, use something Do I really want my moon that big? Maybe. Okay, so you could use a cap. You could use a paint cap if you wanted to. Use absolutely anything that will get you what you want. All right, so I'm actually just going to freehand it. All right, so I'm going to just rest my baby finger right up against the ornament, and then I'm going to draw my circle. Okay, and I'm getting the paint on my hands, so just be careful when you have paint on your hands. If you're going to be touching your ornament, you don't want to get the wrong color paint in the wrong area. So I am going to paint my moon like this. Okay, so I made it pretty good size. That's it. And my tree's going to come up here, but I want to make it even bigger. If you start making it even bigger, it almost becomes like a fantasy type moon. And I have done, I like lunar landscapes and all that good stuff. So I've actually made quite a few. So I think this one should probably suit. So I'm actually making it even bigger. All right, and you can make yours big, small. You can do anything your heart desires, and you know why, right? Because you are the creator. Someone called me, and they had some questions on one of the tutorials that we were working on, and she said, I did it a little bit different than you told us to do, but I figured it was okay because you said, we are the creator. And I cracked up laughing and I said, you are so right, my darling. And she sent me a nice picture of the work she had been doing. And it was gorgeous. Okay, so look at this head on. We really do have an oversized moon, and it's pretty white. Okay, so I'm just going to blow on it for a few minutes. And if you don't want to blow on it for a few minutes, you can just let it sit on its holder for a few minutes. But I don't actually need for it to be completely dry at this point. I actually am going to put my detail brush in the water. Don't let the paint dry in your brushes. If it dries in the brushes, you won't be able to use the brush anymore. It'll get stiff. Okay, so you want to make sure if you're not using the brushes, unless you're going to pick it up and use it in a very short period of time, then I would say go ahead and put it in the water. So while I'm waiting for that moon to dry, I'm actually putting a few more white spurts in my foreground, and that's where my snow mounds are going to be. Okay, so just a few more. And like I said, once this paint dries just a little bit, and this has, then we can get a nice, even whiter coat on there. Okay, so I do have an oversized moon there, and I'm thinking that once that oversized moon dries just a tad, I can clean my brush because that little brush actually it looks white, but it's a very bluish white. So I'm going to put this on here and make sure my brush is clean because I want some of that moon to be really white. Okay, so if I do this on a paper towel and no color comes off, then I know there isn't any paint left in the brush. Okay, so let's just take this back. I'm actually just blowing on it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to dip into my white. Okay, so I want it to be kind of pure white here. Now I'm not going to go over the whole thing in pure white. I'm just dotting some pure white on there. Can you see that? All right, so I'm going to do that around maybe this edge a little bit, maybe around this edge a little bit. And when you look at the moon at night, you're looking at it, it looks like it has some texture in it. It doesn't look like just a flat moon. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of texture in our moon like this. And it's a little clumpy right now. That's okay. Let it clump just a little bit, and then after it dries out some, you can smooth it out a little bit. So now I'm going to take some of these other blues in here, this really dark blue, and um, see on this side right here where it's kind of dark in there, I'm going to take this really dark blue and just come around that side with it. At least I thought I was going to, but it's pretty dry. Okay, so let's try that again. There we go. Right, so I'm actually going in a circle with my brush. And that's how we create those. That's how we create the illusion of the moon. Okay, so I'm going to just take and go right on my edge here a little bit, maybe even into my green white a little bit. Okay, but I'm not going to obliterate. I'm not going to obliterate the white. Okay. Okay, so see, my moon has texture. Okay. Going to take just a little bit of that dark and put just a couple of dots here and there. That's kind of cool. Ta-da! Okay, and again, you can let it dry out just a little bit. So you can blow on it. And once that happens, and again, I'm supporting my hand by putting my baby finger up against the, actually leaning it on the ornament. Okay, so there's my moon. Right, so that's what we look like. Okay, and I'm going to take this brush and put it into the water and kind of clean it off. Now, what I would like to do next is put on some of, I'm going to put this on its little holder there. I have blue paint on it already. What I want to do is put on some of these little star type things here, and maybe even, maybe if you can see it really close, there's little dots of white, like maybe it's snowing. Okay, does not need to be snowing. Totally up to you. Okay. So if you have a dotting tool, okay, which looks like this. And typically they have two sides, a really small one and a bigger one. And you can just kind of dot. If you do not have one, use the back of your paintbrush. Right, so I'm going to take the back of my paintbrush and put it in the pure white. And then I'm just going to touch it. See, just a little dot. I just touched it. Right, so then I have another little dot there. Right, so you can put some of those on there, and then with your detail brush, actually, you can start pulling on the dots. All right, so if I actually pull the dot down and then sideways like this, and then put an X through it like that. Let me try get a little. Your hand has to kind of stay in its comfort zone. So if you want to turn your ornament upside down, go ahead and Okay, so I'm kind of making a cross and then putting an X through it, right? All right, so that is, so I'm going to dip this detail brush in there, and let me see if I can get close enough. I'm going to make a cross like this. Okay, and I'm going to turn this around so that my hand stays in its comfort zone. And then I'm going to put a little X through it like that. Let me make this a little bit longer here. And on this side too. And again, important to kind of keep your hand in its comfort zone so that you can do these. All right, so now I have one here and one on this side. All right. So again, if you have a dotting tool, I'm going to take the small side and just put it in the paint, and then I can just touch it here. And if you do not have a dotting tool, use the back of your paintbrush. And different size paintbrushes will make different size dots. Okay, so the larger paintbrushes are going to make bigger dots. The small, tinier ones are going to make little tiny dots. So we can actually make some of these, and you don't have to do them all now, okay, because we're actually going to put trees on here. So we don't need lots and lots right now. We can actually go ahead and put some on after the trees on as well. Okay, so I just put some at the top. I didn't go too far down to the bottom. And I'm going to take my brush, put it in the water. Okay, this is what I have so far, which kind of already looks kind of cool to me. So I'm going to take my little, it's not my little tiniest brush, but it's the smaller brush. And I cleaned it pretty good. And my moon is relatively dry now. So if I want to brush out any of the some paint that's really kind of globbed on there, if I want to brush it out, I can. Actually, I'm kind of liking it the way that it is. So other than a few brush strokes, I'm going to leave that baby be. Okay, so now, okay, let's put you on here for a few seconds and let's go back to the source document and see what we want to do next. Okay, what we really want to do next, again, we're working from the background forward. So see these background trees over here, these way back here, and they're kind of taking on the color of the background a little bit, right? And these darker trees are going to be in the foreground. Okay, so we're going to do the background trees first. Right? So I am going to take my detail brush, take your detail brush, the one you made with the very fine hairs on it, okay, and what we want to do is just kind of drag it through the blue, the darker blue that we made. And now let's not mess up our, I'm messing up mine, don't you mess up yours. Okay, so way over here on the side, I'm going to just make a line like that. Okay, wait, see that line? Okay, now that's just a guideline for like where my background tree is going to go. I'm going to put another one way over here, like this. And don't be afraid to, if you have a dot there and the dot's in the way, don't worry about it. Okay, so we're going to put another one kind of right here, right? And how far down should they come? We won't worry too much about the background ones, but the ones in the foreground we're going to worry about. So I need another one, another little kind of little one right here, and maybe another one here under my moon. Okay, so I actually have one, two, three, well, about four background trees. You can have more or less background trees. Absolutely okay with me and you. Right? So now take your cotton swab. Let's try cotton swab here. If you don't have a cotton swab, use a small brush. But I want to try a cotton swab and see what it looks like. If you don't have a cotton swab, you want a brush that kind of has a round, kind of a rounded tip. And I'm going to use both so that you can see which one you like better. Okay. So this background wants to match the background color. So I'm going to put it in the blue that I mixed. Okay. And then with my line that I created for my tree, I'm going to just go ahead and dab on that. That looks pretty cool, actually. Can you see it? It's right there. All right, so let's go ahead and dab this one on and see. I think I'm going to need more paint here, but just dabbing this into my background here. Now that actually looks pretty cool. There he is. And as I listen to it, this computer has survived the launch. I should write to the company, tell them how hardy it is. Okay, so here's a tree. So now I actually am going to put this here and mix a little bit more paint because I thought I had enough. I really don't. So I am going to go ahead and mix some more. All right, so what I mixed for this was the white. Okay, and if you need more white, let's put some more white on there. White. And then I grabbed some blue and I grabbed some brown. Okay, and I'm using that for the background trees. Like I said, it kind of wants to blend in with the background a little bit. Okay, so you could use a Q-tip for that. Okay. Now I'm gonna go over, and this time I'm gonna use my brush just to see what we get if we use the brush. Okay, and I'm just dabbing here, actually, dabbing my tree on. That's not too bad, not too shabby. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of brown here and mix it with my blue, just a little bit right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and dab on top of that just to get it a little bit darker. And this one actually does come down and into the snow. So let it do that. I'm going to dab just my brush just a little bit into the white, right? So I have a little bit of white on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and dab that over my tree. Okay, let's try it a little bit more. Ooh, I almost dropped spilled over my hot cocoa. That would have been a disaster. Okay, so now my tree looks a little bit better. I'm going to take my Q-tip, give it a little bit more texture. Okay, Okay, you can use your brush. You can use a cotton swab. This is a cotton swab. And you can see I went right over my star, which is okay. The stars are easy enough to do or redo if necessary. So just let it kind of, at this point, the location of the tree is more important. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And now I have another tree here. Okay, under my moon, a little bit under my moon. And actually, like I said, it has kind of an oversized moon. So I'm gonna actually put it in front of my moon. Okay, and this one's going in the back as well. Okay, brush, Q-tip, whatever works, whatever's working. That's what you want to use. All right, so here we have this little guy, and I'm gonna turn the Q-tip over a little bit and just kind of get a little bit more texture in here, like so. Okay, and again, coming down like into the snow here. Okay. So I have two trees now. All right. So just kind of work with your trees. Figure out where you want those babies. All right, so I have one, two, and I just touched it with my finger, don't do that. And then one way over here. So I actually have three trees. One, two, three. Okay. And then take this one and make it, I'm going to make this one a teensy bit darker, I think. Okay, maybe it needs to dry a little bit more before we can do that, maybe. All right, so we have, let me see, we kind of have one over here. We drew another line here. So for this one, I'm going to use my big brush. Okay, and we're going with I want to get as close to that background color as I can, but obviously we still need to be able to see the tree. So, okay, and I'm just dabbing lightly back and forth, back and forth here. And we're going to have trees in front of this one, so we don't need to worry too much about the bottom and where it ends up. Okay, there's another tree. I'm going to dab into my white a little bit and give this guy a little bit of highlight so we can see him better. Okay, that pretty? Kind of pretty already. It's a very frosty, beauteous kind of a tree. Okay, kind of an ornament. So now I'm going to put these brushes in the water. And once again, I'm going to grab my detail brush here. And the detail brush is the one that we took all the, we made, we made our own detail brush. Okay, so this little guy, okay, we're going to put in our foreground trees here. So I am actually going to dip this in the black and then into the blue. Now, I know you probably do not see that, but I had created some blue here. So I dipped into the black and then into my blue again. And my goal here, and I have a lot of water on my brush. My goal here again is to give myself some guidelines. So where do I want those trees? Okay. I have a bigger tree. Let me see. There's one that comes almost up to our star. Okay, and here's our background tree. And here's this tree with actually not too much on it, just this, which you can do that if you want. All right, and there's another kind of stick tree going on in here. But these trees in the foreground here are as well. Okay, so let's place our trees here. And again, you know, if it doesn't look exactly like the picture, good. You don't want it to. Okay, so I am going to just make a guideline and come all the way down here like that. Okay, and before I go any further, I think I'll go ahead and I'm going to make that because this is one that seems to have a lot of tree showing in it. I'm going to make this just a little bit thicker by using the bigger brush. Okay, so I thickened that line a little bit, and so now I'm going to take the that's my drinking water. This hot cocoa is cooled off just enough. Okay, so now this blue, these foreground blues are a lot darker. So I'm taking my blue and mixing it over in the corner here, getting a little bit of black in there. So what I actually have is an extremely kind of darkish blue. Okay. So now I'm going to get this really high up here and again, just dabbing. And we're dabbing very, very little at the top. And then it kind of comes here like this. And it's coming down this way a little bit. And then there's a kind of, I'm going to cover, cover. I can cover that, okay, that bare limb. And come down to kind of where my other tree is, only because um, there's another tree yet in front of that one. So this tree, you see it. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. Right, so I'm going to take the same dark or blackish bluish color and put another one right beside it, but it's going to be a lot smaller. Okay, so it's going to go here and go in front of this tree I put here. And again, don't fret too much about these trees. Um, Over here, I'm going to put a little bit of white here just to get a little bit of highlight. Plus, there is some snow on these branches, on these boughs. Okay. I don't know how close I can get here. The paintbrush is hitting the computer. Okay, so let's do a little bit more. So I'm just kind of working the boughs just a little bit here. Kind of cool. Okay, same thing on this tree in the foreground. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take the same dark color now. And this one is going right about, yeah. Okay. So again, there's this tapping motion that you can do either with a cotton swab, and let's try switching over to the swab just to see what happens if we do. tapping with the cotton swab has kind of a unique finish to it like that. So I'm using some different types of blues on here. I'm actually going to take this one a little further down maybe. And let's put some of the lighter blues up here. That. Okay. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. So I'm pulling it pretty far down there. I think with this, that looks awesome. Okay, so I think with this detailed brush, I'm going to kind of go into our blue mixture here a little bit and going to put in just a few tree type. We want to be able to see some of the tree through some of our boughs. Yeah, so a little bit of tree trunk kind of hanging out, showing up. Okay, okay. And now, because we don't want to see a straight line here, we're going to just kind of tap through a little bit. So we see some, okay, but not all. Let's do this one just a little bit. So this is really cool. Okay, now I'm looking ahead here, and if you have sparkles, after this dries, you might want to put some blue or silver sparkles on here. If you don't have sparkles, you know what works really, really well is the nail polish. If you have some, you or your wife or your girlfriend has some like really sparkly nail polish, like um, nail polish you would use for like New Year's Eve type of thing. And only, only if you want to. Nothing is mandatory here. You are the creator. Okay, so now we have background trees. We have some foreground trees. I'm going to grab my little white. I'm going to grab my little detail brush actually, and I'm going to clean it. And what I want to do is just kind of work in this foreground just a little bit. So there's some snow back here. There's some just like a little pathway here. So I just want to bring that out just a little bit. Okay, and then there's some back here. So let's bring some of that out just a tad. Okay, so we're just kind of dragging that white along, and we're giving ourselves some snow-covered areas here in between our trees. Let's drag some of this down. Okay, it gives a little land texture. You can never have enough land texture. Okay, here's a little bit more here. Let's bring this down here like this, and this way. Okay, and you could actually make more snow mounds if you wanted to. I don't think that I want to at this point in time. However, I do in fact want to put this lead tree in. Okay, and I'm going to put it. Okay, now my moon is a lot bigger, so I put my trees in front of my moon. Okay, so if yours isn't, that's okay. If it is, that's okay too. And I would love to see them. Send them to me. Take pictures, and you can either email them to me at janissa@comcast.net, which is JOAN as in Nancy, I, S as in Stephen, A at Comcast.net, or you can take pictures of them and send them to me via text message from your phone. It's on my phone number, my cell phone number, 978-807-7608. Send me pictures of what you're doing. I love them. I love them when I see them. Okay, tree in the front. Okay, so we have this guy over here. This tree really, really wants to go right here and down into our foreground. Okay, it's right there. And I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. Okay, so I'm going to dip into the white and the blue. And I'm going to make it kind of a lighter blue. Okay, and I'm going to really just bring it out into the front here and try using different brushes. See what you like. I'm going to try a big brush and see if I like that. I do indeed. Okay. So I'm going to take this blue and make some more bows over here. Okay, I'm going to go darker, darker, right into here, like so. Come up here, this way, this. And you can go over your boundary. That would be absolutely okay. Okay, I'm going to, once again, dark blue, which is going to be blue and black. Okay, and I'm going to put in the top of the tree. Okay, so we're doing some over there. We want some, we need some contrast going on over here. Okay, so I'm going to take this dark blue once again. Right, we want some of the tree branches to show. Let's go darker, darker here, like this. Because the paint is wet, it kind of mixes with what's on there. I'm going to take my bigger brush, bigger brush, and again, black and blue, right? And I'm going to put these on here. Ah, nice. Can you see my tree? Can you see it better? All right. So now that I can see my tree better, I'm going to go just into the white and put snow on my branches here, on my boughs. See them? Okay, using my detail brush to do this. So I can see those boughs in there. Gonna pull them down a little bit. Okay, just get some snow on them. Is that cool or what? Okay, so even that midline that I made where you can kind of see the tree down there, now that I have my snow on there, it's not a solid line anymore. It looks pretty cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this darker color down here and just kind of put in the bottom of my tree here. Okay, a little land mass there. Okay, so see what we got. Kind of cool. I'm going to pull some of this out a little bit and down. Okay, at this point, all right, we want to go ahead and now look at this and see where, in fact, we would like to pull a little white here and there. Maybe in this front tree, maybe we want a little snow on that, which I think is an awesome idea. Let's put some snow on these little guys here. So I'm I'm going to use my detail brush to do that. Just kind of get some snow on these little guys as well. Okay, so now we have snow on this tree as well, which will actually bring these trees into our foreground a little bit better. Okay. So these ornaments, I have to say, they make really awesome gifts because a lot of people, have like tree decorating parties and whatnot. So especially if you have like youngsters in the family, they can make these for grandma, grandpa, and don't stick your finger in them. Oh, and then put it over there, right? Okay. So let me fix this. So what I started to say is that these make great gifts for trim the tree parties. Um, and you put the year's date on them so that grandma and grandpa know exactly, what year you made these, and you can put your name on them. You can put to grandma, grandpa, love, Joni. Okay, you can put your name on them certainly. So these little trees, okay, in the back and in the front over here, decorate them. All right, and like I said, if you have little kind of sparkly things that you want to go on them, or even nail polish, sparkly nail polish, all of that looks totally cool. I'm going to take and do a little bit more dotting, especially around these trees. All right, and again, you can use the back of your brush. You can use a dotting tool. And dotting tool, again, has a big side, a small side. So you can get all kinds of different size dots on them. And the stars, I only have one star left because I actually went over, I painted over one of my stars. So that's okay. So I'm using the small side, use a bigger brush to make bigger dots. Okay, bigger brush will make bigger dots. And just use the handle parts. And your dots, like I said, they can go right off your boundaries. Looks cool if they kind of continue off on the sides. So I'm going to put some bigger ones over here. And don't be afraid to put them right in the snow as well. So these actually it looks like it's snowing. Okay, look like it's snowing. And I'm going to once again rest this here for a minute. Let's see what did we do for damage. Amazingly, we smushed a couple of dots. So again, let me see my, let's see if I can get that on there. Now, here, so I'm going to get one of my cotton swabs. So if you happen to put your finger on or mess up one of your dots or a small area, okay, so when I drop this, believe it or not, unless I'm missing it. I only see one kind of messed up dot, which is right here, and there might be another little one here. Okay, so again, long things are wet they're pretty relatively easy. Plus, this is a plastic bulb, so it's a little bit easier. See how easy that came off. And I'm going to take this one off as well. That one didn't come off as easy. Let's try the other side here. Okay, clean some of this stuff off, which is actually more when we kind of picking it up. Okay, so while, like I said, while the paint is wet, is a good time to pick up some of any errors that you might make. And I see another little one right there. So what I would like to do is clean the paint off my little dotting tool and fix this one right here. And I thought I saw another one that needed a little help. Yeah, this one right here. Voila. Another one right there. Okay. I'm liking that. Now, I really, really want to put a couple more stars on here, at least one more, but I have a tendency to like go in threes. Okay, so I'm going to clean off my little detail brush, I hope, and put this here without dropping it in, and clean off this brush like so. Okay, and again, once it comes clean on the paper towel, then I know that it's really clean. I'm going to dip into my white paint and I'm going to take a look and see where I want another star. And I actually have a way up here. So I actually think I would like to put one right in my moon, maybe. So let me see if I can show you this. Right, so once again, I'm making, can you see that okay? That, and just making a cross here. Let's make this side a little bit longer. And once you have your cross there, then you just put an X through it. See it on the moon? Okay, so that looks pretty good. See if I can fix her up a little. There we go. So now my moon has an awesome star. Like I said, I usually like to do three rather than just like two. Okay, so I'm just making the star bigger. Kind of wishing I didn't put it in the middle of that. Wondering how easy it is to actually take it off of there. Okay, so that's not too bad, I guess. Let's fix her up a bit. Let's see here. So I kind of didn't want that star right in the middle of my moon, so I just kind of took it off there while it was still wet, and I'm going to move it over to the side here. Okay, so that's a little bit better. And we have another one that's right here. And again, let's go with a number 3 star, which I think it would look good right here. Okay, so I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to go slowly. There we go. Okay, so see that kind of X, I mean cross. And then we're going to X through it. Okay, so now I have 3. I have one here, one here, one here. Um, let's put a little white around this edge of the moon. Give it a little highlight back there. Okay, so here is our ornament. It is a fene. Might want a few little bit more dots here. Okay, and again, this in any number of ways you can add dots with your brush, with the end of your brush, like this. Okay, with a dotting tool if you have one, right? So there's any number of ways to do this, all right? So here we have this. After it dries, all right, you're going to squeeze these 2 wires together and place them back into your ornament. And this will, again, will be a little bit easier to do once the ornament is dry. Okay, and then put your ribbon through it, and voila, you have a very unique ornament. All right, and before you give them to whoever you're giving them to, make sure you sign them. They're always much more valuable if that's a goal, if and when the artist assigns them. Okay, so you can actually pick any kind of design and put it on an ornament, certainly. Okay, and this is a nice frosty one. Very cool. So on the back, I will put a to my friend and put love, Joni, and then I would put the year, which is 2021. Okay, all right. When you knot these, when you're doing this, okay, you can feed them through there like that, or you can knot them first. All right. You can knot them first by making a loop and then putting that through the loop and pulling it so that you have a knot. Okay, pull it kind of tight, right? So this is what you have, a loop. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and feed it through like this, and then you put the knotted part through the loop and just pull. Okay, so you could just tie it on if you wanted to, or you could do this. You could put a regular ornament hanger. That would be okay too. Okay, so there's no wrong way to do this, guys. You are the creator. Okay, so let this dry really good, and then if you want to, you can put some sparkle on it. You can put some sparkly nail polish on it. You could spray it with some really cheap hairspray, and then it would come out nice and shiny. So, and the reason that I know that is I bought some hairspray at the dollar store, and it certainly was cheap enough. Oh, this poor computer. But you know, it made my hair so hard that you could actually knock on it afterwards. So I said, ooh, I don't think I should be putting this on my hair. So I was going to throw it away and then decided, oh, let me try it on, some some to protect some pictures and ornaments and stuff like that. And it actually works very well. Okay, so maybe don't put it on your hair, but definitely you can use it as a sealer for your art stuff, and again for this ornament. Okay, and this is the source document. Okay. As always, let us give proper thanks to uh, the Dracut Cultural Council and Friends of the Dracut Elderly, and to all the fine folk at the Dracut Council on Aging, Bethany, Noel, Debbie, Anne, and Palm is the new activities director. If you need anything, if they don't have the answer for you, they will find out who does. Give them a call if you need anything at all. Let me do this. I'm cleaning up my computer as I'm talking to you. Give them a call. You can call me 978-807-7608 and share your pictures with me. You can ask questions. You can say, yo, where did you get those ornaments? And I will tell you I got them at Michael's, and there were a big canister of like 25 ornaments in there. You can get them at the dollar store, obviously. You can get them just about anywhere. Acrylic paints, absolutely. Um, did we miss anybody? Ron Zimmerman at Dracut Access TV has been putting these tutorials up on Dracut TV for us so that you can see them. Okay, if in fact you end up missing them, because I think they air them about 2 or 3 times during the month. If you miss them, call me, email me, okay, and I will send you the links. I have the YouTube links here as well. They actually do two, I believe, or you can, there's an on-demand function at Drake TV. You can also see them on BATV, which is Barica Access TV. You can see them on the Greater Haverhill Arts Association website and on Jones Art Gallery's Facebook page. So there are many, many places to view these tutorials. We thank everyone who is making them possible, and we thank you and want you to stay healthy and be happy. And we'll see you next time. And until then, be legendary, my friends.